Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament. We're reading Luke's Gospel and we're in chapter 5 up to verse 17. And this particular pericope is also, of course, in Matthew and in Mark's Gospel. Always interesting to compare Luke with Mark in particular to see similarities and some differences. In Mark's Gospel, this scene we're about to read takes place in the house of Peter's mother-in-law. There's no mention of that here, but the story is very similar. Otherwise, so kai geneto in mia ton hemeron, kai autos en didaskon, kai esan kathemenoi pharisaioi, kai nomo didaskaloi, hoi esan eleluthotes, et passes comes teis Galileas, kai Judeas, kai Jerusalem. Kai dunamis curiu ein eis to iasthai auton. And it came to pass, this is one of Luke's favourite expressions here, on one of the days. So it's fairly vague here, we're not told exactly when, it just said it happened on one of the days. And he himself, this is Jesus, ein didaskon, we get this periphrastic imperfect here, he was teaching, and the Pharisees and the nomodidaskaloi. Now, this is an interesting word here. It's equivalent to, Mark uses grammates, the scribes. You only get this 3 times in the New Testament. It means literally teachers of the law. So the Pharisees and teachers of the law were sitting, they who were having come. So this again is a periphrastic pluperfect here, who had come. Ek passes comes, from each village of Galilee and Judea and Jerusalem. Now we get this very interesting, it's almost an Old Testament kind of expression here. It's the power of Yahweh was, we get ace top plus infinitive. This is from iamai, to heal. So it means something like the power of Yahweh was with him for healing, was with him to heal. So Yahweh had given him the power to heal. It's a very odd expression. We don't get it, I don't think, elsewhere in the Gospels, and it's not in Mark. Kai idu, and behold, andres pherontes, men bringing epiklines on a bed, an anthropon, a man who was paralleluminos, who was paralyzed. Now, this is again interesting to compare this with Mark. In Mark uses a more slangy word, krabaton, which is like a stretcher, and it's probably a Macedonian word. Luke uses kline, which is the good classical word for a bed, something that you lie down on. Kai etsetun auton, and they were seeking enenkain to carry him in. This is from ace and pharaoh, aorist infinitive here. So they were trying to find a way to bring him in. Kai thanai, infinitive from tithani, and outons in brackets here, to place him enopion autu, in front of him, literally before him, or in his face. So before him, it's one of these pseudo prepositions that takes the genitive. So they're trying to bring him in and to place him before him, that is Jesus. Kai me hurontes, and not finding. Poias, odd here, you have to supply something like hodu. What kind of way, or perhaps by what means. Poias just means what sort of. So if you put what sort of means, what sort of path or way, they might bring him on account of the crowd. Anabantes, and going up epitodoma, on top of the house, they let him down. This is from Kath Hiami, they let him down, dia ton keramone through the tiles. We get our word ceramic from this, of course. They let him down through the tiles along with his clinidio. So we had cline here, and then we get the diminutive. Along with his little bed, into the middle in front of Jesus. Interesting again to compare with Mark, who says that they ripped half the roof off and gouged through the roof and lowered him down in the middle of the crowd. Luke is a little bit less dramatic. He just says they lowered him through the tiles, along with his little bed, into the middle in front of Jesus. Kai idon ten pistinau ton apen, anthropo, af hiontai soi hi hamatiai su. And this second part is exactly what we see in Mark. The first bit here, and having seen their faith, he said, O man, this is vocative from anthropos, af heontai is the perfect from af hiemi is the verb. And af hiemi has got a range of meanings. It sometimes can mean forgive. This is the passive here. It can also mean take away, so it's ambiguous. It could mean your sins are taken away or your sins are forgiven. It's have been, it's perfect. So your sins have been taken away or your sins have been forgiven. Okay, exanto from archemai, hoi grammates kai hoi pharisaio legontes, and the scribes. Now we get the scribes rather than the nomodidaskaloi we had before. The scribes and the Pharisees began to debate or to discuss. Legontes saying, Tis estin hutos, who is this guy? Hos lale blasphemias, who speaks blasphemies. Accusative plural here, from blasphemia. Who is this man who speaks blasphemies? Tis dunatai, hamatias aphanai, ame monos or theos. This is the infinitive from aphiemi again, so present infinitive. So who is able to remove or forgive, depending on which way you translate it, hamatias sins, ame, except God monos alone. Epignus de hot Jesus tus dialogismus auton apokrithes apentos prosautus. Jesus recognizing, this is from epiginosko, ginosko to know, epiginosko to recognize or realize. So Jesus recognizing their discussions, their, well, probably internal debates, but the dialogismus, their dialogues, their discussions, having answered, he said to them, Ti dialogizeste entais cardiais humon, why do you debate or discuss in your hearts? For us, the heart is the seat of emotion. For them, from the ancients, the heart was where your intelligence was, rather than your head. So your emotions were in your splanchna, in your bowels, and your intelligence was in your heart. Tiestin eukopoteron apain. This again is very Markan here. What is easier? Now this is a comparative. You've got the oteron. You may recall the rule here that when you go, the adjective is eukopos, and if you've got a short vowel here before it, which you do, you've got an o, then it's oteron. If it's a long vowel, it's oteron in the ending. And the root here is eukopos. It's easily done. So what is more easily done? To say your sins have been taken away, so the sins for you have been removed, or apain to say, egere, arise, kai peripate. Now this is in both imperatives here. This is peripateo, And so the infinitive is peripate, the two epsilons combine, and that's why the accent's here. So arise and walk. But in order that you might know that Hophios tu anthropou, the Son of Man, eke exousia, has authority epites geis upon the earth, epienai hamatias, to remove or forgive sins. Now the editor's put a break here because he's now, this is what Jesus has been saying, and now the writer says, he, that is Jesus, said to the man having been paralysed, and we go back into direct speech. Soi lego, I say to you, egere kai aras to klinidion su porure es ton oikon su. So arise, and having lifted up, from airo, aorist participle, having lifted up your little bed, the klinidion, poru, middle imperative, from poruamai, go to your house. Kai parakrema, anastas enopion auton, aras if ho kateketon, abealthen eston oikon autu doxasdon ton theon. And forthwith, parakrema, immediately, it's an adverb here, parakrema, forthwith, having stood up before them, in front of them all, aras, having lifted up, and we have to understand that on the thing on which, we've got to understand a tutol or something here, having lifted up the thing on which he had been lying, from katakemai, he went into his house, glorifying God. Kai ekstasis elaben hapantes kai edoxas don ton theon. We get our word ecstasy from this, but it really is amazement. I suppose would be the best way of translating it. It literally means to stand out, almost stand outside of yourself, to be totally in shock. So it's just amazement here. Elaben from Lambano took all of them, and they were glorifying God, and they were filled, from Pimplami, takes a partitive genitive, they were filled with fear. Legontes saying, and then we get hoti recitative, so inverted commas, Edomen paradoxa semeron. Today we saw paradoxa, strange things. This must be a neuter plural here. We saw strange things, things which are paradoxical, strange or wonderful. And that is the next little section of chapter 5.